While people had their attention focused on the Astroworld tragedy, Chrissy Teigen decided to host a lavish Squid Game themed party, and needless to say, the internet is not happy about it. The model threw the party at her home with singer John Legend, and it featured a maze staircase, bunk beds, and a light-up pig filled with money. Plus, there were other elements to the party that related to the show as well. Chrissy posted the photos to her Instagram page and wrote in the caption, "Where do I even begin? What an absolutely epic night. My dream came true of watching my friends fight to the death. Dunk tank, musical chairs, hide and seek, followed by a very riveting final game of pin the tail on the donkey. At wife of the party, you truly are the best and have the best team ever. Thank you, thank you, thank you. More pics to come." However, despite Chrissy's joy, a lot of people in the comments section were quick to point out how rich people never really seem to understand the true meaning behind shows like Squid Game. One user writes, "I think you missed the point of the show," with another adding, "This is so beyond tone deaf as a millionaire to invite your rich friends over and reenact Squid Games, which is rooted in the violence of capitalism." I mean, she's not wrong. If you haven't watched the show, it's essentially about these people who have a ton of debt and they get offered the chance to compete in a game show where the last person standing gets all of the prize money. However, it is also extremely graphic. I mean, there must be at least 200 headshots in the whole show, so it's definitely not for everyone, but it is still a brilliant storyline that exposes a lot about the lengths people are willing to go just to get out of debt. Also, to make the show even creepier, they have this group of wealthy VIPs that are betting on who they think is going to win the games. Yes, they are betting on people's lives. And the reason why this show became so big is because of how real and possible something like this could be. So when you see a celebrity like Chrissy Teigen throwing a Squid Game themed party, it starts to make people's skin crawl a little bit. The party apparently also included other childlike games such as musical chairs, hide and seek, and pin the tail on the donkey like she mentioned above, and I guess they had enough money so they splurged on a dunk tank as well. There were even multiple prizes handed out to the winners of the games that she ran, prizes that apparently included a flight to Napa Valley and dinner for two at French Laundry. So you can see why people saw this to be just a little bit insensitive, considering the whole point of the show was about poor people risking their lives to have wealth like Chrissy Teigen. Are people blowing this out of proportion a little bit? Yeah, that's what people always do, but I really think that this is just another example of how much being a celebrity affects the way that you think. She probably saw no issue with this because she doesn't really see the reality of people living paycheck to paycheck, or not knowing where their next meal is going to come from. To Chrissy, this was probably just another horror show that she watched on Netflix because she heard it was really popular. That being said, she must have noticed the number of comments on her post calling her out because the comment section has been limited. I guess she just can't really see that if the Squid Games were real, she'd be more than likely found in that safe VIP room getting fed grapes or whatever. You'd think her husband would at least be like, "Hey, sweetie, maybe don't post that." But who knows though, maybe he did say that and she just didn't care or ignored him. I feel like after her Courtney Stodden bullying scandal, she should probably just chill out on the controversial post for now.
Since the last time we spoke about Chrissy Teigen, a lot more has happened. More atrocious old tweets of hers have been exposed where she attacked countless other celebrities, and she's been dropped by a number of brands because of it. I'm Mackenzie and let's get into this update, but first make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. In the last video, I mostly spoke of Chrissy's terrible tweets and private DMs to Courtney Stodden, where Teigen told them to take their own life, along with other horrible statements. But since those tweets have been exposed, other horrible tweets of Chrissy's have resurfaced. To give a quick summary of some of the worst tweets, in 2013 she attacked Teen Mom star Farrah Abraham on multiple occasions, tweeting, quote, "Farrah Abraham now thinks she's pregnant from her adult tape. In other news, you're a and everyone hates you. Whoops, not another news story." This was referring to the tape that Farrah made with adult film star James Dean at that time. After fans called out Chrissy for shaming Farrah, she doubled down on her words and accused Farrah of leaking the tape herself, as well as paying paparazzi to make sure they took a picture of her buying a pregnancy test after the tape. And the wording of these tweets were incredibly harsh. Another slew of terrible tweets was directed at child actor Quincy Wallace. During the 2013 Oscars, where Wallace was nominated, Chrissy tweeted out, quote, "Is it okay to call a small child cocky?" Adding later, quote, "I am forced to like Quincy Wallace because she's a child, right? Okay, fine." Wallace is currently 17 years old, but she was only 9 when Chrissy tweeted these things. But that's not all. Chrissy actually decided to body shame Mariah Carey after she announced that she was pregnant with twins, writing, quote, "Why is anyone surprised Mariah is having twins? I was always pretty positive there were 2 to 15 15 babies growing inside of her. Lastly, Chrissy took aim at singer Avril Lavigne and tweeted out in 2011, quote, "If you told me I could have one kid but it would be exactly like Avril, I would choose to have a barren, sterile existence that ends when I die." Then after, she said watching Avril was the second most painful thing she had watched that day. And trust me, there were so many more tweets that we actually have 2 top 10 lists on her tweets if you want to check those out. After more and more of these terrible tweets started to resurface, brands that worked with Teigen decided to drop her. The first brand to cut ties was Bloomingdale's, as well as their parent company Macy's. After the tweets about Kourtney Stodden were revealed, Macy's decided to take a stand and cut Teigen from their establishment. And they ended up dropping Teigen's Cravings by Chrissy cookware line. Other establishment Bloomingdale's was actually only hours away from signing a massive deal with Chrissy, where Chrissy was going to be hosting a promotional event for the store. But that deal was cut after the allegations against Teigen resurfaced from Stodden. The next retailer to take a stand was Target, although there is some back and forth about what actually happened here. Following the Kourtney Stodden scandal, it was reported that Target had also dropped her Cravings line. However, Target reps later stated that Target dropped Chrissy in December of 2020, and the timing of everything is purely a coincidence. Target's rep confirmed this to Fox Business, saying, quote, "We made the mutual decision in December to no longer carry the cookware line, given our continued focus on brands we develop, and that can only be found at Target," the memo stated. So thankfully, after all of these terrible tweets, Chrissy is finally facing repercussions for her actions. Since the scandal, Chrissy has been silent on all her social media accounts and shows no sign of coming back. And considering this is one of the many huge scandals Chrissy has been involved in over the last few years, I don't think her comeback will be well received.
Coming in number 10, Kourtney Stodden. Back in October of 2011, Chrissy Teigen really had no bones about making this supremely dumb tweet. She actually compared Kourtney Stodden to in the tweet. She said, "Saying Kourtney Stodden's Facebook page got shut down for being too sexy is like saying that were just meanies, as in not quite." Now, my problem with this tweet is that it actually devalues what the did. When you compare anyone who is mean to you to them, it makes the word lose meaning, which it should never because of the atrocities committed by the You see how dumb this tweet is now? Coming at number 9, her goodbye tweet. Now this list would not be complete if we didn't have the contradictory tweet. Yes, this is one of the many tweets that Chrissy sent out right before temporarily deleting her Twitter account, although it sounded like something that should have just remained in a journal. However, instead we have it right here for you. In the tweet, Chrissy said, "My desire to be liked and fear of pissing people off has made me somebody you didn't sign up for and a different human than I started out here as. Live well, tweeters. Please know all I ever cared about was you." I mean, it's probably true that she only cared about her followers, but what I can't get over is that she had a fear of pissing people off. She most certainly did not. She took pride in getting into Twitter wars with Donald Trump, and getting blocked by people who didn't share her opinion was like a badge of honor to her. Thank you. Next. Coming in number 8, exposing her marriage. Most people have a very nice story of how they met and how they started dating, let's say, but these stories are usually held as private moments though, something you would just tell a close friend or family member. Although for Chrissy, she had no problem just exposing how her own marriage came to be on Twitter for everyone to see. In the tweet, she says, "I didn't date much, I moved in with people. Like, hello, I live here now. This is how John ended up in this situation." I mean, God, I hope she was joking, but she did preface that tweet with, "Oh man, these stories. I don't know how you guys are out there dating now. God bless you on your journey." She might as well have put hashtag relatable at the end of that tweet. Really, Chrissy, you started your modeling career on the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. I don't think dating would have been an incredibly tough thing for you to do, especially considering the fact that you're now married to John Legend. And I mean, if we're just poking fun here at this tweet, she could have also added hashtag humblebrag to the end of the one talking about her just moving herself into John Legend's home. Goodness, these tweets. Coming in number 7, toddlers and tiaras. Back in July of 2011, Chrissy also made some very questionable tweets that soon became part of the nearly 60,000 other tweets that were deleted from her account. In the tweet, Chrissy said, "Seeing little girls do these splits half naked is just, I want to put myself in jail." And then she hashtagged toddlers and tiaras. What must be going through her brain that she thought this tweet was okay to send out? And then adding it to the hashtag is just wild, okay? On top of that, when people began to question her about the tweets, all she did was lash out and claim that it was for the safety of her family. In the response to the receipts of her deleted tweet count, Chrissy actually said, I actually deleted 60,000 tweets because I cannot effing stand you idiots anymore, and I'm worried for my family. Finding me talking about toddlers and tiaras in 2013 and thinking you're some sort of effing operative. Well, I mean, the tweets were there, so what else do you mean by those tweets, Chrissy? Coming in number 6, feeding into it. Now, when someone trolls online, they're looking for an outburst or extreme response from the person that they're trolling. On this occasion, the troll was coming from Donald Trump, and it was to prove that Chrissy Teigen has absolutely no filter online. Most of her tweet is going to be blurred and beeped out though, but you'll get the point. For some context, here's where it all started though. Back in September of 2019, Donald Trump tweeted, "Musician John Legend and his filthy mouth wife are talking now about how great it is, but I didn't see them around when we needed help getting it passed. Anchor Lester Holt doesn't even bring up the subject of President Trump or the Republicans when talking about." And in response to that, Chrissy only fed into what Trump was saying about her and her filthy mouth and responded with, "LOL, what a tagged everyone but me, an honor, Mr. President." All that does is prove his original tweet right. I mean, prove me wrong in the comments. That just proves him right in my opinion. Coming in number 5, entitlement. Chrissy Teigen can't even congratulate her husband John Lennon on his Grammy nominations without somehow making it about herself. Entitlement is the belief that one is inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. In December of 2014, Chrissy tweeted, "2 Grammy noms for John Legend. No one has congratulated me for being the inspiration behind all of me. Without me, there is no all of me." Pretty sure that he just would have written a different hit. He's John Legend. This constant bullying online must just exhaust John so much. Even something as simple as him showing off his name tag prompted her to say, "Bah, loser." Ha, it's a very supportive wife. Coming in number 4, too lazy. In another moment of bizarrely exposing her marriage, someone on Twitter first said, "If Chrissy Teigen and John Legend ever got a divorce, I will absolutely never believe in love again. #goals." Now in response to that, all Chrissy had to say was, "Too lazy, hate paperwork." Oh, good to see that the only thing holding your marriage together is a lack of motivation to fill out the paperwork. Does that imply that she would if she had the motivation? I mean, I'm not saying that, but it sort of implies that even jokingly in this response. Again, very bizarre and very dumb. This is definitely one that should have remained in the drafts. Coming in number 3, called out. Sometimes people actually manage to get a good response into one of Chrissy's usual Twitter tirades, if you will. After Donald Trump tweeted out, "We must keep evil out of our country." And in response to that, Chrissy said, "What time should we call your Uber?" Now, while it may be a good response, the problem with constantly trolling is that you also open yourself up to being trolled as well. She has the blue check mark and she jumped into that conversation, and so in response to Chrissy's tweet, someone else said, "What time should we call your brain to arrive?" I mean, yikes. Coming in number 2, no eyelashes. My god, this tweet is dumb. But it fits perfectly at her number 2 spot, you know? 2 eyes, that's all I'm saying. Back in May of 2015, Chrissy tweeted, "Just tried to take my fake eyelashes off, but they were my real eyelashes. Needless to say, I now have no eyelashes." I mean, I'm a dude, so clearly I have no idea what it's like to wear fake eyelashes, but how in the world can you not tell the difference between something you recently glued to your face and your actual eyelashes? I'm sorry, but this one got me, and it got me enough to toss it into this list. And last but certainly not least, coming in at our number 1 spot, a final note. This tweet from August of 2014 is absolutely insane, or perhaps psychotic would be a better way to describe it. Chrissy Teigen actually tweeted out, "I always have a note in my pocket that says John did it just in case I'm murdered because I don't want him to remarry." Then she adds #true love and #tips. The only person following these tips are people that are in far too deep. If you have so many enemies that you have to be like, just in case I'm murdered, I'm gonna make sure that the cops just immediately arrest my grieving husband. What an absolutely bizarre thing to tweet out, and as I've said before, another tweet that should have remained in the drafts. Chrissy Teigen has returned to social media to apologize for her past hateful tweets that she sent to Courtney Stodden. The former model is claiming that she was simply a troll and that now she is dealing with a crushing weight of regret. I'm gonna get into all those details in just a moment, but first, if you could do us a big favor, please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin. As I mentioned, Chrissy Teigen has broken her silence recently after being accused of bullying a then teenager on Twitter back in 2011. In a post on the blog site website Medium, Chrissy left a lengthy apology that began with, "Hi all, it has been a very humbling few weeks. I know I've been quiet and Lord knows you don't want to hear about me, but I want you to know I've been sitting in a hole of deserved global punishment, the ultimate sit here and think about what you've done. Not a day, not a single moment has passed where I haven't felt the crushing weight of regret for the things I've said in the past." She then goes on to say, "As you know, a bunch of my old awful tweets resurfaced. I'm truly ashamed of them. As I look at them and understand the hurt they caused, I have to stop and wonder, how could I have done that?" For those of you who don't know, back in May, media personality Courtney Stodden, who uses they them pronouns, called out Teigen for bullying them on Twitter. While speaking with the Daily Beast, Courtney told the news outlet, "She wouldn't just publicly tweet about wanting me to take a dirt nap, but would privately DM me and tell me to kill myself. Things like, 'I can't wait for you to die.'" Courtney, who is now 26 years old, first hit the media spotlight after marrying 50-year-old actor Doug Hutchinson when they were just 16 years old. However, I must also add that the couple recently divorced in 2020. And again, according to Chrissy herself, it's not just Courtney that she owes an apology to. She then goes on to say in her apology letter, "I've apologized publicly to one person, but there are others and more than just a few who I need to say I'm sorry to. I'm in the process of privately reaching out to the people I insulted. It's like my own version of that show, My Name is Earl. I understand that they may not want to speak to me. I don't think I'd like to speak to me. The real truth in all of this is how much I actually cannot take confrontation, but if they do, I am here and I will listen to what they have to say while apologizing through sobs." Adding, "There's simply no excuse for my past horrible tweets. My targets didn't deserve them, no one does. Many of them needed empathy, kindness, understanding, and support, not my meanness masquerading as a kind of casual, edgy humor. I was a troll, full stop, and I am so sorry." Little weird that she refers to her victims as targets, but okay, to each their own, I guess. Chrissy Teigen's Twitter popularity really began to grow over the last 4 years because she was so outspoken about former US President Donald Trump. However, in March, she decided to briefly delete her Twitter account after saying that it no longer serves a positive purpose in her life. Although just a month later, she was back on the platform and back to sending out her usual tweets. Upon returning, she tweeted, "Turns out it feels terrible to silence yourself and also no longer enjoy belly chuckles randomly throughout the day and also lose like 2,000 friends at once." Adding, "I choose to take the bad with the good." In her apology, Chrissy also noted that when she started using social media, she had a lot of fun with it and that she believed she could simply use it to tell jokes, make random observations, and snark at the occasional celebrity. However, when you're not happy with yourself, it becomes much more difficult to navigate the murky waters of social media. Chrissy Teigen then goes on to say, "In reality, I was insecure, immature, and in a whole world where I thought I needed to impress strangers to be accepted. If there was a pop culture pile-on, I took to Twitter to try to gain attention and show off what I at the time believed was a crude, clever, harmless quip. I thought it made me cool and relatable if I poked fun at celebrities." Chrissy then goes on to say that now, since being confronted with some of the things that she has said, she cringes to her core. She now realizes that words have consequences and that there are real people behind the Twitter handles that she went after. She admits that she wasn't just attacking some random avatar, but rather hurting young women. She then closes off her letter by saying, "I won't ask for your forgiveness, only your patience and tolerance. I ask that you allow me, as I promised to allow you, to own past mistakes and be given the opportunity to seek self-improvement and change." And for those of you who want to read the full apology letter, I will be sure to put a link for you down in the description below. Now, on the flip side of all of this, Courtney Stodden posted an image on Instagram alleging that Chrissy Teigen had blocked them. They captioned the photo with, "I accept her apology and forgive her, but the truth remains the same. I have never heard from her or her camp in private. In fact, she blocked me on Twitter. All of me wants to believe this is a sincere apology, but it feels like a public attempt to save her partnerships with Target and other brands who are realizing her wokeness is a broken record." You see, just when you start feeling like someone has made amends, there can always be an ulterior motive. That being said, Chrissy did say in her letter, "I'm telling you this for context, not seeking or deserving any sympathy. There's no justification for my behavior. I'm not a victim here. The subjects of your sympathy and mine should be those I put down." Adding, "The truth is, I'm no longer the person who wrote those horrible things. I grew up, got therapy, got married, had kids, got more therapy, experienced loss and pain, got more therapy and experienced more life, and got more therapy."